Hello and welcome to the latest in Real Stories, our bite-sized format of Do More With Less. We twin our monthly Do More With Less interviews with shorter, punchier sessions, still with marketing leaders that highlight the on-the-ground stories of individuals figuring out how to do more with less. Today I'm talking to a friend of mine called Melanie Mills. Melanie has been a head of global sales, a sales director, a director of revenue, a CRO and a CEO. And now she shares all that experience as founder and CEO of something called Connection Career Collective. This is a community where women and male allies mentor, coach, advise, and inspire a younger next generation of growth leaders in tech, professional, and financial services. Hi, Mel. How are you doing?
Very well. That was impressive, Mark. Very impressive to get all that out. I'm glad you introduced me and I didn't have to introduce myself. It's far more professional.
If somebody could give me a job just introducing them and just squeezing the best of them into 4 or 5 lines, I'd love that. Love it. Mel, you've had a career of leadership wherever the hell you've been, and you've had a career of developing people, putting profitable strategies together, execution, building businesses and building growth. Like, I'm not going to run through your entire career because having spoken to you that night and sort of genuinely heard from you, there's so much going on there that I think it'd take us the whole podcast. But if you will, what's been the, you talked a little bit about yourself as competitive. What's the narrative thread that runs through everything you've ever done, would you say?
I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, it's people. So you obviously sell to people and you lead the people in those teams. I think that's what I look for when I look at organisations. That's kind of the key driver for me. Who's around the table? Who am I working with? I've always hired my own teams. And built high performing growth engines. And that takes a special type of person. And it also takes diversity. And I think that's a key piece for me is I just tend to do most things quite differently. And as you say, less with more, more with less. More with less. That's the one.
It's definitely more with less. Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about people, you're running this thing called Connection Career Collective.
This thing, Mark.
Well, let's talk about this thing. I believe heavily in mentoring, but I really do. I think I've been a part of mentoring organizations like the Marketing Academy, and I see some incredible stats on your website. So 70% of women attribute their career success to having a mentor or a network of support. You've got 400 members of your community, all that great stuff. I always found it hard to find a mentor. I've been a mentor, but I've always found it hard to ask for or identify or kind of understand when and who to ask at the right time. Is that something you see?
I'll take you back to why mentorship is so important to me personally, and then obviously why I give back. And that's, my first business was in my 20s. I started it with a Princess Trust loan. And as part of that, they appointed a mentor. So we were appointed a mentor and she was a lovely lady, but she was adding absolutely zero value. She would come, we'd have the meetings and it would really just be a pat on the back. It would be, oh my God, you've done that. That's amazing. Oh, you met that person, because we were doing some really cool stuff. Britain's Next Top Model, the Merbo Awards, like some really cool stuff. And we were meeting people regularly, but it was just, there was no constructive criticism. There was no, this is the type of stuff you might want to be thinking about doing. It was just, you're doing great. And there's no value in that, right? So we asked the trust if they wouldn't mind finding us a new mentor. And they said, well, okay, what area? Marketing was an area that we knew we could do with some support. We both come from kind of more sales backgrounds. So marketing was definitely a thing. And we appointed the most amazing guy who was based in Knightsbridge. We used to go to their office, and I'm sure it was Innocent Smoothies. I mean, this was like 20 odd years ago, but I'm pretty sure it was something that was a really big brand. And he was phenomenal because we were learning from him, right? And we could take something away, something tangible. We could put it into action. We'd see the benefits of that. And so that's where it started. And then each point of my career, and as you mentioned, Mark, I've done quite a few things in different areas. And that's my fast track to being able to learn, grow, build a network is by spotting someone who is great in that space and then learning from them. So when I moved into tech, I was at Mastered, which is like a premium program before Masterclass was kind of launched. And I was appointed through my CEO at that point, because I said, can I get some help? We're transitioning from B2C now into B2B. It's technology, which was my first foray into that. And he appointed me Ryan Ward, who was big at Salesforce back in the day. And he was equally supportive. I'm still friends with Ryan now. I brought him onto the board at one of the businesses that I worked at. So for me, I've had some amazing experiences. And after those two, I was then very conscious every time I moved. All right, who am I seeing at conferences? Who is speaking my language? Who is having a major impact? And then just asking them, like literally, whether it was a client, whether it was someone, speaking somewhere, but anyone that I thought, you know what, they've got talent, they've got something about them and they're absolute experts in their space. If I start to spend time with them, I'm going to pick all of this up like far quicker. So going through that, I've equally given back. So I'm mentoring and working with the two people that I worked with 15 years ago. I help people transition industries. I just see the power, especially for women, especially in commercial roles, in that sales space. It's so hard, right? There's so few, and naturally people tend to be attracted to people similar to them. Well, I'm not on any golf courses, let me tell you. And the majority of my peers in those spaces are. So how else am I building that network? How else am I kind of building relationships face to face? Which is how you obviously gain trust far quicker. And that's then how you can settle and understand people's problems quicker as well.
Do you find people respond positively to being asked? Do you find that they understand if they're asked to be a mentor? Do they understand immediately what that means, or are all mentorship programs different?
Yeah, I mean, look, if it's mentoring within an organization, it's already set up the structures there, right? That's not what I've been doing. What I've been doing is spotting people outside in different businesses and then asking them. And honestly, most people want to help. Honestly, if you ask them in the right way and explain why you're asking them, there's very few people that are going to turn around and say no, because it does take balls to go and ask them in the first place. So people probably think, good for you for doing that. And most people do want to give other people a hand up. And I think part of that talent spotting is probably picking the right types of people that are generous and you can kind of see what they're doing. But I've never had anyone say no, and I've honestly not said no to anyone. I've suggested that there might be other things they should do as well, because I don't think me just mentoring would be enough, like education, coaching. There's various other ways, right, to learn quickly and to kind of grow your career. So
Is mentoring a route to understanding how one can do more with less? Is there a correlation here? Because I'm thinking about the young marketers who might find themselves over promoted, too quickly promoted, or just simply more fast tracked more quickly than we would have been in our day, just because senior levels of management are disappearing in an effort to reduce costs. So I'm finding, through the do more with less conversations we're having, we're finding young CMOs of like 30, 32, 33. Do you think some mentoring for them is an element or a pillar of understanding how do more with less can work?
For sure, because if you've not had that lived experience, right, if you've been lucky enough to work in organisations where you've had huge budgets and all the rest of it, then you've not had the experience of going through what we may have gone through. So of course it's a when people have got experience, they can share that, and then that can fast track your route to what you need to do. Now, I've most of my career selected smaller, unknown businesses. They're often new into the UK. I've often not had huge budgets. I'm equally from Yorkshire, so I am just super tight anyway. Very conscious of the spend. I always want to do something, differently rather than just throw money at it. So it kind of comes naturally through the nurture piece of having a dad from Halifax and like living the back of beyond. And yeah, I've really shied away from corporates and big names. Like I like building brands. I don't need to go and hide under a brand, right? I've always had very visible roles where there's nowhere to hide. and every penny is looked at. And, I think because I'm so entrepreneurial, naturally when I spend, I also spend like it's my own money. So yeah, I think tighter budgets, entrepreneurial spirit, being from up north means that generally I'm, looking for a cheaper way to get it. And I'm commercial, right? So I'm always negotiating anyway, because that's just what you do.
For our international listeners, Mel has been referring to an age-old British trope that people from Yorkshire are, when she says tight or stingy, it's about being over careful with money. But as you can see, Mel does not have an ounce of anything if she doesn't have generosity in her heart. So, it's an interesting. I mean, I'm also from the north of England, where we are repeatedly told what we're like, and we know what we're like. But I buy into some of that. What I'm really interested in is the fact that you have a portfolio career. You are you've got your hand in projects, you've got your hand in growth for various clients and projects always coming through the door, but you're still taking quite a lot of time out to build a powerful community that's there to aid the growth of others. I'm really interested in that. Like, that's not just talking the talk, that's a real genuine commitment to an unknown generation of marketers that are frankly walking into a shitstorm that they didn't invent or didn't create and haven't been trained for.
Look, it's really important to give back. And look, this project, the Connection Career Collective, didn't just start now. I started it whilst I was at Caxton, so left Caxton 2 or 3 months ago now, and I'd been building that community alongside. And so when I left, I took it with me. We renamed it. And look, I think there's business potential within this community. We've been working with the community members to understand what that is and understand what they need, especially because of the current environment and AI and all the things that you've been discussing of why it is so tough at this point. I think any way that you can build a community and be part of a community that can aid your career, that can open doors, that can help you sell faster, that can build your knowledge is beneficial. I think it's needed more than ever. I think, the younger generation tends to be like instant gratification because of the world we live in with social media and everything's at your fingertips. Well, your career growth isn't, right? You need to show loyalty, you need to grow, you need to deliver something before you move on. And like, trust me, I've moved on plenty of times, but not without having something solid to show for it. And I think there's this element of absolutely wanting to give back, absolutely wanting to help people. There's a real issue, especially in the UK, less so in the States, and I don't have the stats on other countries, but there's very few female commercial leaders. Sales has had a fairly bad rap, and women generally aren't so great at talking about money and negotiation and commerciality, probably don't always know their worth. I mean, there's lots of, things I could say about why women don't enter that kind of environment. Definitely more in the marketing side, but, that kind of chief revenue officer encompasses both, right? You've got people that end up in that role who come from marketing, people that come from sales. I just think I'd like to see a shift. I'd like to be able to do what I can, leave a legacy, continue to help people, because also those people come back around, right? If you keep helping and opening doors and transition, helping them transition. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. There's a young lady that I worked with at Mastered. She had come to the UK. She was on a visa. She was about to be sent back because the role that she had was no longer required. I needed some people, and I thought, you know what, I can see something in her. And she's ended up going down a sales career, and she's now in Finland, and now she's working with us with the Connection Career Collective, right? I've helped her transition roles. I've always been her mentor. So I feel great being able to give back and see their progression. For me, honestly, these days, like seeing my teams develop and get to the next level is better than £1 million deal closing, if I'm really honest. I want to enable them as a team to do that. It's not about me doing that because I've done it before, and I'm constantly on a growth journey for myself as well, and that's what gives me, great satisfaction.
That's a rather stark and amazing thing to hear, because I know how successful you've been in terms of commercial, and I know how that entrepreneur commercial bent never leaves somebody like you. Like, you can hear the hunger in your voice, but to hear that something around developing somebody else and giving somebody an opportunity and preparing them for it, it feels better than closing £1 million deal. That is a very, very stark, and, you know, I mean, that's quite an exposing thing to say, in a sense. That's quite gratifying to hear.
Well, it's, when you're moving to B2B, it's never just about you anyway, right? This is a whole team effort. That's the only way you get there in the first place. And those level deals, you're needing products, you're needing operations, you're needing your key people to have those types of conversations, and they go on for a long time. So this is never about, me. I might have opened the door, I might have supported the team, I might be there to review things, but fundamentally, this is a team effort. And I think I'd probably say at least 7 years ago, I lost the thrill of it being me doing it by myself. I'd say it was me that closed the deal. And that's why leadership is way more important for me, and putting my arms around an entire organisation to really drive it forward is what's next. I'm doing that for myself, as you mentioned, but equally open to, the right type of business that could utilise my skills moving forward.
I've been very, very lucky. I think some of the roles I've had, I think I found it hard to ask for help. I was in my early 20s, and that was probably not my wisest move. But since then, even though I didn't necessarily ask for it, I was lucky enough to have one or two people in my life that have never, ever gone away. And I don't know if there were I don't know if there were certain situations I could have handled since I knew them that I would have been able to manage and negotiate and navigate without their, not just support, but the belief that they were genuinely on my side and were there for me. And there wasn't a whisper of what I owe them in return, or, and I sometimes reverted to type and went, what am I doing for them? Why are they doing this? Like, why are they being so energetically and needlessly and over generously kind? Like, what do I owe them? Like, what can I give them? What can I make something? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
but you were giving back to them, because you were giving back because you were helping them probably stay relevant to a degree. Like, that there is an element of whoever you mentor, especially the younger, especially if you're leading teams, you need to understand each generation. You need to understand what's current. You need to stay relevant. So I think you mentioned age a few times. Like, for someone older, as you progress, you don't know it all. Your school day is every day, and you will still get back and understand and learn from the people that you mentor. It's that two-way thing. So I think there's one thing there. Equally, it makes people feel good to be good humans if they are a good human. And so they will be loving the fact that they see you thrive and they've helped you do that. And things do come back around. I'm a big believer in karma. I've always thought, if, be the best version of you and do the right thing by everyone, and that will just come back around. And I think probably I've been quite naive, but having that great mindset and trying not to let those, bad times affect you, your own generosity, your own energy, all of those things. I just think good things come to good people. I really do.
Well, I think this is a very, very special episode, and you're a very special human being. And I would say that I'm taking something back into my day-to-day at Orbital X, which is an amazing organization that I genuinely believe in. And we're a marketing resource group dealing with a lot of clients who are either very, very, very lean marketing teams and sometimes solo marketers. Mm-hmm. People who have come into CMO jobs but have walked into the room to find, oh shit, there's actually nobody else here. It's just me doing marketing. Right, how am I going to... And we equip and tool them. But even then, I think the idea is we're not just a product and a service. Some of them actually use us for validation, for counsel, for sort of, what would you do? Or just, can I just sense check this with you and get your take and just make sure I'm not... Like, there is a sense that, and I hope this generosity flies through B2B as much as the hope in it that you've generated in me just by this conversation. There is a sense that you shouldn't have to, even if we are talking to lean marketing teams or solo solo marketers, you shouldn't have to do B2B alone. And mentoring is a great way of accessing the sorts of support and guidance and coaching that we all generate.
Yeah, and community. Find your community. That's what you're starting to build, right? That's why we met, right, at that lovely dinner and making those terrible foul arrangements. And it's building a community, having those people around you. And we've got an event coming up next week. It's our relaunch event. And it's all around building your personal profile, not necessarily brands. So within an organisation, or building your personal profile to enable you to do more, have a better reach authentically. And building your social capital. And as part of that, we're advising on how do you build your own personal advisory board. Now, you have got 2 people that you've mentioned on that board. There'll be other gaps, but actually understanding the benefit of having that, and it will change over time. But if you've got this amazing board, like literally think of it as your own personal board, with people at different stages of people that, finances and CFO world was definitely a world that I knew I needed to really collaborate closely with CFOs. And I was like, there's a gap there. 3 years ago, I met Becky Glover, and I work with Becky Glover, and we gel and we share notes, and she's got an expertise in one area, and I have it in another, and now we work together on Connection Career Collective. Right, I've got my personal business coach. I've always invested in coaching. I think it's hugely valuable. It got me through a very difficult time when I had very little voice, which I'm sure you can't believe. But my voice had disappeared, and I invested in a coach, and she's been with me for 5 years. She's on, part of the Career Collective. I'm all hate recruiters generally. I'm very happy to admit that, because I don't interview particularly well for numerous reasons, which would take a whole nother episode, and I know we've not got long left, but I'm very selective over any recruiter that I go anywhere near, because I also always handpick my teams, and I'm very particular about the process. And I came across Lloyd, who does go-to-market teams for scaling tech businesses, and we've worked with him. He's tried and tested, and he's part of the Career Collective. So the best thing for me is handpicking those amazing people and working with them, and to be able to do more, to grow other businesses, to grow individuals, and have an impact, certainly in the UK at the moment, but I'm sure it will grow wider than that over time.
Melanie, I love this. If you've got any needs right now, is there anyone that you want to appeal to? Are you looking for new members, or are you looking for people to come and join the collective in any capacity? Is there anything that you are particularly interested in us giving a kind of shout out, rallying call to?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Connection Career Collective is online. It's in LinkedIn. We've got a group. We've got a WhatsApp group. We've got an event next week in London at CMS Law, kindly sponsored by Hummingbird. Look, we want as many members as possible if you are on a growth journey, right? If you are career committed and you want to do more with less, or do more with what you've got, or whatever you want to say, or you want to transition, or you want to go into a different industry. We tend to have majoritively financial services, professional services, and tech, but tech obviously encompasses a huge amount. Tends to be in commercial or finance roles, but we have marketers, we have project managers, we have all sorts, but very generous, kind people that want to give back and want to give a hand and want to pay it forward. So look, anyone at any stage, early careers, mid-careers, and C-suite, look, we'd love to have you on board. But yeah, the mindset and the generosity is the kind of the common thread, and people wanting to grow and do more.
How amazing. How amazing. What an opportunity for all of us right now, but especially those who feel they are somewhat drowning or challenged by unanswered questions that they don't recognize. So get in touch with Melanie and the team at Connection Career Collective. Melanie, thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure to see you again, and let's get arranging flowers again soon.
Absolutely, or not. Maybe just a drink somewhere, Ma.
Or not. Maybe just drinks, yeah. Take care.
All right, take care. Lovely to chat with you.
Bye.